Hey everyone, this is Chris Royster, and I am going to give you a little snippet of one of my webinars called How Much Are You Worth? And I'm going to give you just enough to let you determine whether or not you'd be interested in checking out my next webinar and or my next radio show. Um, so this is what we're going to do. How much are you worth? That's a question that a lot of people never get around to asking themselves, but they really should. And how much are you worth when it comes to earning a living? Like, what does that really mean? Well, it means that either someone is paying you based on your proven history, okay, based on your resume, based on your experience, based on things that they've seen already, or it means because you know how much you're worth, you know what your capabilities are. So when it comes to you building something on your own, you know that you have enough worth to make it happen, to fight through it, to accomplish that goal, right? For instance, like Beyonce getting $30 million from Pepsi to be their main spokesperson for soda. $30 million. Okay? But Beyonce does have a big track record, doesn't she? Or for another instance, Steve Jobs realizing his self worth when he started his company years ago out of his garage. Now, at the end of the day, nothing was guaranteed, but he had a feeling. He had a feeling enough to where he didn't quit when he could have really easily from the very beginning. But fortunately, he didn't because Apple made $170 billion in 2013. So, how much are you worth? Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Chris Royster, and I have over 20 years' experience working for other people, making them a lot of money and or helping them not lose a lot of money, being very productive, whether it be hiring people, firing people, training people, selling stuff to people, documenting things for people, all kind of different things that I used to do. One of the companies I used to work for was Freeman's Jewelers. Um, and I liked that position that I had of collections manager there in Auburn, Opelika, Alabama. If you've ever been there, you know how small that place is. You know that Auburn University is there, SEC country. I liked Auburn. Auburn was cool. Problem was though they weren't paying me enough to do my job. Now back then, the actual I guess you could say salary was $7.50 an hour plus your bonus. Not long after I started that position, I became the best collection manager in the state of Alabama. Okay, I was getting that store into the black, where before I got there they were in the red, big time. Okay, I was also helping opening and closing the store. Sometimes I helped them sell jewelry. Okay, wasn't supposed to do that, of course, but I helped them. Eventually, I said though, you know what? I'm the best collection manager in the state of Alabama. I kind of need to get paid more because what you're paying me is not enough. Because I know how much I'm worth, and if I'm the best in this state, I'm probably pretty good in other states too, and other states will pay me more money. The manager at that particular store is begging me to stay. Did everything he could. He was like, Chris, hold on just a little bit longer. I'm working on it, blah, 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 blah. Eventually, I left. I moved to Atlanta. One day, I got a phone call. It was a Saturday morning. I was at IHOP. I was eating blueberry pancakes. I was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Particular about that because usually I never get a phone call like that in the morning interrupting when I'm eating blueberry pancakes. Anyway, I got a call and it was the district manager. And the person said, Chris, how you doing? This is Becky and all this kind of stuff, right? And I'm like, okay, hey, because I'm trying to figure out why I'm getting this phone call. I'm gone. She asked me, well, Chris, how much money would it take for you to move back to Auburn, Opelika? And I was like, what do you mean move back? It's like, yes, Chris, how much money would it take for you to take your old job back? And I'm like, well, I've moved. I've cut off all my services. I don't have an apartment there anymore. I would have to start all over again. And Cheesecake Factory is right there. ESPN Zone is right there. Moe's McDonald's are right there. And Publix is right there. And Starbucks is right. Why am I going to move? I'm on Peachtree Street. What are you talking about? That's really kind of what I said. But then I said, well, you know what? Look, I'll think about it and I'll call you back. I called her back and I said, look, Now, y'all know how much $7.50 is a year, correct? Now, this is years ago, but still, 750, right? I said you pay me $30,000 a year plus my bonus. Now, the reason I wasn't getting paid my bonus, I didn't say this, but I wasn't really getting my bonus because the person that was in front of me did such a bad job that my bonus was never going to kick in maybe for another year. Okay, so I said, you pay me 30,000 a year plus my bonus, I'll come back. I actually would move back. As crazy as that is, I'd move back. You pay me 30 a year. She was like, well, let me call you back. She called me back and said, well, Chris, we can't give you your 30,000 a year, but we can give you a raise. And I was like, no, because if you give me a raise in the first place, I would never have left. How much are you worth? What would you have done? What would you have said? Would you have said anything? Would you have said you just come back for the $7.50 an hour? I don't think you would. Okay. That's a little bit about what I was talking about on my webinar. I, of course, go into much more detail. But if that seemed interesting to you, because at the end of the day, you need to know what your self worth is at a certain point. Because if you've been working like me for 20 years or even 10 years, 15 years, 9 years, 4 years, and you're either not happy with what you're making, you're not happy with what you're doing, you're not happy with how you're being used in the company, you're not satisfied with the people that you're working with, maybe it's time for you to start thinking about doing something different, possibly, or adding to what you're doing so that way you can create an exit strategy at a certain point. Because, are you prepped to work for 60 straight years? That's what I was doing until my last job. And I will tell you about that last job, and then I'm going to let y'all go for the evening. I used to work for a company called Florida Career College. Okay. And at the end of the day, the location I was at was in Hialeah, Florida. If you don't know anything about Florida, Hialeah might as well be Cuba. And one of the reasons I took that position, besides the fact that I needed money, because another position had laid me off a year earlier, and I finally had ran out of money, and I didn't have a place to stay exactly for a period of time, short period of time, but it happened. Okay, so when this job interviewed me 3 straight times, they hired me. I was like, okay, pay me 33 a year. Okay, all right, doing something I wanted to do, which was recruiting. That was the whole reason I was staying down there, to get me another recruiting position. Problem was that the system that they had didn't work, because even though all the other schools in the area, 30-mile radius, all had Spanish classes. Remember what I just said? Hialeah might as well be Cuba. In Hialeah, Florida, the population, 96% of it only speaks Spanish. No English at all. Our school didn't have any Spanish classes. They had cosmetology, but that doesn't count when everybody else doesn't want to do cosmetology, right? You're going to force everybody to do hair? Don't think so. So at the end of the day, I'm trying to go through all the rigmarole of trying to make something happen that really is not going to happen. And see, I didn't know that I was like the 5th manager in that position within a year. I didn't know they had all kind of different directors come in and out, in and out. All for the fact that for whatever reason it didn't make sense to put any Spanish classes in the Spanish community. So when I got fired from that job, I was pretty much done with corporate America forever. I can't do it no more. I can't. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen to me because I know how much I'm worth. I'm 38 now. I can't do it. How are you feeling about it? How old are you right now, and where do you stand? And do people know how much you're worth? So that's a little bit about what I do on my webinar. I do go into thorough detail. It's about 45 minutes. I'm just, you see, 10 minutes looks like right now I'm almost at. So if you would like to hear or see my next webinar, you can email me at chrisroyster@5links.net. Okay. If you email me, I will email you when my next webinar will be scheduled. And also, I'll let you know when my next radio show will be scheduled, where in general terms, I talk about different topics, and you have an opportunity to actually call in and lend your thoughts and things of that nature. With the webinar, I go straight through information. It's very detailed, very succinct. Most people enjoy them pretty good. But I talk about business in general, all kind of things about Walmart, about technology, about investing. You know, there's a lot of stocks out there that if you don't know about them, you should have them by now, and you don't because you don't. No one tells you about that, right? Unless you watch what Wolf of Wall Street or something, that doesn't count, right? So again, email me Chris Royster at 5links.net, and I'll email you that information if you would be interested in listening a little bit more, some more stories that I have, information that I have. If you think that you want to know why it matters that you know what your self worth is, you definitely would tune in. Until then, my name is Chris Royster, and I'm going to sign off for tonight. Y'all take care.